All right, I think we're waiting for Councilmember Medina to join, but we can go ahead and get started in the meantime. So let's go ahead and call PR Plus to order. The first business item is to approve the meeting minutes of April 16th. I don't have any changes and approve as written. Councilmember Gardner.
Same for me.
Great. Any announcements? Not seeing any virtual hands being raised or anyone coming off mute, so we'll move to the next item. Any consent items? All right, and then we'll jump into our presentations. And the first one is the Art in Public Places Commission Annual Report. I'll hand it off to our presenter.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ana Valles. I'm the chair of the Art in Public Places Commission, and I'll be presenting the annual report. We want to go to the next slide. Okay, so our mission statement and goals. The mission for the Art in Public Places program is to capture the pulse of the community by contributing to neighborhood development and economic vitality, and by engaging the many voices of Aurora through art and culture. So we base our annual report on the goals and objectives that we articulated in the City Council approved 5-year strategic plan that we presented last year. We have the AIPP commissioners. I don't know if you want to go back to the other slide. Yes. Myself as chair. We have Karen here also joining us. She's the vice chair of the commission. We have Vanessa Fraser, Evelyn Hatcher, Elaine Lee, Chelsea Minter Brinley, Mary Malicon, and Margaret Norwood. And we have vacancy right now. So one of the goals we have is to build awareness around the public art plan and augment the brand of the AIP program. So we have done that in different ways through the last year. We have done 2 presentations to Aurora Historical Society and the Aurora Science and Tech Middle School event. We have an upcoming interactive tour map and website for R2C on Havana. So we partnered with AutoCast. We love it. The commissioners love it. So that's coming up. Also on Havana Street, who won the Colorado Business Committee for the Arts award that was presented a couple of weeks ago for the R2C program. The City of Aurora and the Art in Public Places program was featured on the event, so it was great exposure there. We've been part of some media publications, maps, and website. As well, we have a strong presence with the art and business connection with the Aurora Chamber of Commerce. Roberta is part of the executive team, and I'm also the chair of that committee as well. We participate on the Chalk Lines and Vines event. We have a loan art program, so we have exhibits at the Talents Reach Library and at the Aurora Municipal Center. Here, one of the photos, you can see Liberty, the statue that was on the media a lot the last couple of weeks. That's going to be at the Aurora Highlands as well. These are just 3 pieces that are currently on the Havana Street. Another of our goals is to embrace and encourage diversity, equity, and inclusion in all aspects of Aurora's public art programming collection. We have done this in different ways. First, it's just bringing more diversity to the commission itself. We also work with the art selection panels that reflects Aurora's diversity, trying to bring diverse members of the community on those panels, as well varied diversity on the artists. So we are bringing new artists to the program, artists that we have not worked with them in the past. For example, the Art of Sustainable Water Project. We had also 4 new artists included in the R2C on Havana Street last year, and 3 new artist finalists for the Bus Rapid Transit. As well, 250 plus applicants for the Central Rec Center Park project. Prioritize public art projects that align with city initiatives and placemaking efforts. We've been working on some partnerships, especially with the Aurora Water with Educational Initiative, the Highline Canal Conservancy on the Triple Creek Trailhead, Aurora Science and Tech Middle School, the Housing and Community Services Aurora Regional Navigation Campus, the Denver Department of Transportation and Infrastructure with the Bus Rapid Transit. We're also working in the 2050 150 Sesquicentennial Initiative, as well with Central Park Rec Center, Exterior Park Plaza, playing fields, and creation of mini wetlands. As well, here on the image, as you can see, the 9-mile pedestrian bridge. We did some changes to the color palette as design layout so we can accommodate the city comments. Be excellent stewards of the public art collection. Some of the highlights of the year include the restoration of colors. Now it's called More Color. The 720 annual maintenance, Aspire piece, we're replacement. We're replacing the glass, which is in progress. We did the session of Spotlight Aurora, which is in progress as well. Intersection and art function benches in the Arts District to be restored and relocated to new Central Rec Park Plaza. Altopiece restoration of the Home Heights Library, which is upcoming. We are doing some repairs of Dawn Ring after some vandalism. Wavegate, Utah Pool, rust removal, repaint, Central Library upcoming. And the new we have a new public art administrative assistant, which has done an amazing job and has taken all of the job duties, which include database review and updates, review of artworks impacted by the department moves, provide appropriate assistance to the departments, review and inventory of interior fire station artworks, and review of policies and procedures related to small works. We also have been working on a streamline or AIPP policies and processes. We have been reviewing our policies and procedures related to public art requirements for private developers. We're now invoicing through Amanda, working towards better integration into city planning processes and documents, as well upcoming additions to our AIPP website. We're preparing for the future transition from the Infor database to NextGen, and formalizing the relationship with departments for the movable collection and fire station art. And we're planning for the future. We are working and having some upcoming 2025 installation. One is Michael Clapper Fast Sliding Fire Station number 9. Mario Miguel Echeverria, Weaving Together Improves the Pattern at the Aurora Regional Navigation Campus. Also Nikki Pike with Ripple at Sand Creek Park. As well, we have our annual planning meeting. So we just had one in January and we'll be having one next January in 2026, where the commissioners will look and work on long and short term priority, some ongoing projects, new project prioritization and projections, maintenance, private development technology, community engagement and outreach, and we'll be updating our AIPP collection guide. And that's it for me, unless you have any questions or comments.
Councilmember Gardner, any comments, questions?
Yeah. Hi, Anna. Thanks for being here and doing the presentation. And also congratulations on the Havana Award. I was at the award ceremony, so it was really great to see that. And also the People's Building won an award too. So we had 2 winners in Aurora, which is great. My question is about when RFPs go out for public art, are we getting like a high number of responses, a sufficient number? Like, what does that look like?
What do you mean? Like, in what sense? Like when a piece?
Well, when we want a piece of art somewhere, and I don't know, do you issue an RFP or like what does that process look like? Because there's a panel that selects what installation we're going to move forward with, and so do they respond via RFP, and are we getting a lot of responses, or what is that process like?
Roberta, I don't know if you want to help answering this question.
Sure. I'm happy to respond to that. Our last RFP, which was for the Central Recreation Center, exterior sites, we had 254 applicants. That's second only to when we did the architecturally integrated art, which had just a few more than that. We have had a great response to the Sesquisemi Quincentennial Project, well over 100, and also to, what's the other one I'm thinking about? The Aurora Water Partnership Project. So those are our projects that went out for national calls. They had a great response. The BRT was an invitational process, and we had a great response to that, and are currently working on 3 finalists. So we feel very good about the number of applicants we're getting. They are, what do I want to say? We work hard to get them. We use e-blasts through the cafe, the platform that we use for applicants. We also use another platform called CodaWorks to do e-blasts. And we cultivate our own, using our history of past applicants, we cultivate our own email list. So we're directly reaching out to ensure that, artists of the highest caliber are aware of our calls.
Okay, great. Thank you for answering that. I appreciate it. I don't have any other questions.
Great. Did our third council member join? I don't think so. Yeah, no. Yeah, so I don't have any questions myself. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Our next presentation is the Northwest Aurora Arts Grants.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ginger White Brunetti. I am Director of Library and Cultural Services for the City of Aurora, and I am presenting this on behalf of the Cultural Affairs Commission, which is very involved in the implementation and administration of these grant programs. Also want to thank Councilwoman Stephanie Hancock for sponsoring this as well. She may be joining. I know she's out of town. She was going to try to make it if she was able to get here on time. So we'll go to the next slide, please. So the NAG grants, or the Northwest Aurora Arts Grants, as they're called, the purpose of these is to oh, looks like Councilwoman Hancock is able to join us. I see her hand raised, at least. Thank you for being here. So the purpose of these grants has been historically to foster economic development within the Aurora Cultural Arts District, which is a state certified arts district through the Colorado Creative Industries, by providing financial support to organizations that either reside in the artists or organizations that reside in the arts district, or those who want to partner and bring programming to the arts district, and really to try to create some vibrancy within the district by creating that natural traffic that the arts can provide. We'll go on to the next slide. So there's a longstanding history of this program in the city. It began back in 2002 with the advent of the Fletcher Plaza AURA, and it was part of one of the programs within the AURA to stimulate that activity within the Aurora Cultural Arts District. In 2017, the work of these grants and how they were implemented and administered moved from the AURA over to the Commission on Cultural Affairs under the oversight of this department, Library and Cultural Services. So the Commission on Cultural Affairs became very engaged and involved in the administration of those grants. And as I mentioned, it was part of the thing that made our state certification possible in 2021 when the Aurora Cultural Arts District was certified by the State Office of Economic Development and International Trade. And you can see on the table, oh, we'll go back real quickly. You can see on the table, this is the history of how, at least as far back as we have records of the number of organizations who've taken advantage of this program or at least have applied. And so in 2025, we're really pleased that we had 28 applications organizations and individuals who applied for these grants. And I'll be presenting 13 that we are recommending for funding. So we'll go to the next slide, please. So the criteria, I sort of touched on this a minute ago. The criteria for these grants is really for nonprofit organizations or for-profit organizations in the district to be able to provide programming. Organizations that are headquartered in the district were able to apply for operational or general operating support grants, while those that were hoping to do programming within the grant within the district could apply for project or program related grants. And of course, we encourage organizations and sort of creating some matchmaking opportunities with the venues within the district itself. So that included the Aurora Fox Theater, the People's Building, Vintage, Manos Sagrados, which is a new venue and venture in the district itself. So you'll see in upcoming slides, sort of how that shook out. We'll go to the next slide, please. So again, we have a very involved and engaged commission who takes on a lot of this work. We first announced the grant program in October of 2024, and the commission hosted a grant workshop in November. This is an opportunity for organizations to understand the grant process. Many of them are small organizations, are not have, full-time development staff that are used to developing or a grant application. So walking them through that grant process, giving them tips to have ensure they had a competitive application. The grant deadline was December 8th of 2020. Excuse me, that date is wrong. 2024, not 2025. That's in the future. So it's December 8th of 2024. The review panel, which comprised of our commission plus one outside community member who was a member of ACAD but doesn't have a venue per se, reviewed these applications. They were scored on December 29th, right before the holidays, right during the holidays. And then we had an interview for some of those organizations or individuals that we just had additional questions about, and they came to Central Library on a Saturday for us to have that dialogue. Upon putting together those scores from the written submissions as well as those interviews, the commission voted in February to bring these forward to council for approval. Those award letters were sent to these 13 organizations and individuals back in March, but with the caveat that it was pending city council approval. So we'll go on to the next slide. So the 13 organizations that are being recommended for funding, you can see here in alphabetical order. And so there is a total of $75,000. The largest grant, it was an order of operating or recommended awards of $75,000 being the largest award, $5,000 being the lowest value of that grant award. And so the request before the PR Plus committee is to move this slate of recommended organizations forward to study session for approval to go through the council process for formal approval so we can award these worthy organizations of these grant dollars. And I'll just pause by saying, you all as council members the day that we announced these grants was the same day that council put forward a resolution to ensure that all grants to nonprofits that are not health or human services related need to be approved by council. So this is a slightly different process than what you had seen in the past, which is why we're bringing it forward to you all to start that council process. And I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
Thanks, Ginger, for the presentation. I'm glad we are starting early and getting this in front of council members so that, you know, there aren't any last minute changes. I know that's been the case for a few past recent rounds of nonprofit dollars, and I don't think that puts us in a great position to kind of come in at the 11th hour in that regard. So I'm really glad to see that we're being proactive and early about these different grants. Let's see. I had a question. Is Friends of Aurora Fox like the foundation arm of the Aurora Fox?
It is. It's the 501c3 that's affiliated with the theater.
Okay, great. And where is Manos Sagrados?
It is just next door on the same block as the People's Building and Bon and Butter and Danda Vietnamese restaurant. So it's just in that same stretch on the north side of Colfax.
Great. Okay, I think those were all of my questions. Councilmember Gardner?
No questions. Thanks to Councilmember Hancock for sponsoring this, and I'm fine with moving it forward.
Great, I am as well. Did also want to see if Councilmember Hancock had anything that she wanted to add since she's joined our meeting. I don't see anything in the chat, and I don't see anything from Councilmember Hancock. Alrighty, I support moving forward. So thank you for the presentation, Ginger.
Thank you.
All right, Aurora Public Library Board 2025 report.
Before you go on, I'm so sorry. I was having technical difficulties and I could not get my device to work here. Thank you so
That's
much.
not a problem.
Would you mind if I just opine just for 1 second?
Yes, please do.
Okay, thank you so much for supporting this effort. As a past recipient of the NAG grants, the support of the city and the support for these cultural organizations that add a lot of color, flair, style, and interest to the district as it continues to evolve and grow is vitally important. And I understand that the monies that are going to be received by groups like Family and Vintage, but also for the School of Breaking, which is new, this will make the difference in how they do their programming and they operate. As one who has been a recipient in the past, it made the difference in us being able to launch our programming and to contribute to the district. So thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Councilmember Hancock. All right, we will now shift to the Aurora Public Library Board 2025 report.
Wonderful. Patrick Wagner here with the Aurora Library Board. Thank you for inviting me and giving some time to allow us to kind of celebrate our successes and also sort of share what's been going on. So next slide. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like maybe these things have also expanded, but I do think that the way libraries have changed in the past few decades, and certainly since the pandemic, have really become a cornerstone of community, especially in Aurora. And as you can kind of see, we tried to kind of put these in different buckets and show different aspects of the programming, the space, the access to information, business support system. There's a lot of things that we kind of catch. And I think, especially if we think back to the pandemic, it's pivots, but also a way to help young families, older people in our population, youth, and of course people like me that are kind of stuck in the middle. But wanted to just share how, I guess, crucial and I don't know, the good work that our librarians and our programming and staff are engaged in. So throwing that out there because it's really been such an adjustment, I think, across the nation. Next slide. Thank you. So what does that mean? If we're thinking along these different buckets, these different areas of what a library does, here are some fun, fast facts that we have. So this is all data based off last year. And I will sort of bury the lead, but the lead is that essentially Aurora Library has been used 3.4 million times. So what does that look like? That's items that are checked out. Those are books, DVDs, music. It's library visits. It's people coming and participating in programming, using the computer, printing out. We have a free ability to print out things that our community needs. So it does a lot. And I think especially last year, and certainly since I've been on the board, it's very interesting to see how this manifests, how this 3.4 million times translates into the different aspects of what a library provides. We will also just we do have 7 branches. We have 1 single bookmobile that is heavily used, and that's kind of how through these 7 branches and this 1 bookmobile, how we're able to kind of go into the community and provide our service. Next slide. Okay, so how do we pay for that? This is we put some information here on, especially going back to 2022, which is when we felt that the pandemic sort of insanity at least was kind of through, and we were getting back into physical hours, getting into more of the in-person aspects of our services. So you'll see, especially the FTE, we've been hovering right around 90. We were able to get that up to 95, which sounds pretty good, but it's all fairly stagnant. Certainly, as we're looking at Northeast Aurora and how fast the city is growing, it definitely has been topics and things that as a board we've really been thinking about the future. How do we kind of meet this need? And I don't know, I especially from my side as just a mere citizen, I really appreciate the dedication that the council has, because despite sort of the plateau of 95, you will notice we've gone from 9.9 million and we're up to 12.2 million. So I really, in with everything going on, with always there's so many different aspects of how to pay for things. There's fire departments, police departments, there's so much stuff the city does. But I just really appreciate that we can count on our council and we can count on our library to really fit the needs. Next slide. So what's going on? We have a lot going on. There's probably the biggest thing that we're, and I'll allude to it in another slide too, but we have, at least on this slide, probably the biggest thing is the Central Library. $3 million congressionally directed spending, really supported by Representative Jason Crow. That's been fully executed. The library staff did reach out and earlier this year to just make sure that that's the case. It's been kind of wild on the federal side, but that is fully executed, and that's going to be an amazing way to update the facility to kind of modernize and make it really the central point of the library system. So that's big. That's, I won't say once in a generation, but that's very, very rare to get something like that. But it is something that you'll hear about. You'll certainly be invited to. But that's a big thing that's going on. So what else are we doing? Especially as the board, we're trying to really utilize and strengthen our relationship with the Friends of the Aurora Public Library. They have been in our community right next to our ILIF branch for so long, and we can really essentially always count on them that we get about 65,000 a year. And that is our main fundraising arm. So with that 65,000, we're trying to always look at different options, different ways to kind of grow and support the library. And we get lucky sometimes, especially with the Central Library, huge, I won't even say grant award because it's congressionally directed spending, but that is so amazing. So we have that big thing. We have our friends that are always loyal, that are always stick with us. And then we have a small state grant for our materials collection. And we are actively doing a Mission Viejo library campaign. This is what we're calling 150 for 50, but we have $75,000 set aside that we want to stretch the funds as much as we can and redo the inside, the carpet, the color, anything that can kind of get this library looking and feeling a lot better. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get that $75,000 into $150,000, and it's to celebrate the 50th anniversary. So this summer, Mission Viejo is turning 50. So really exciting. I think next time we connect, we'll have a lot more updates on that front. But that's our big little push right now to get some fundraising and funds in the door. And then lastly, I'll bring this up. It's part of the programming aspect, but our librarians are so entrepreneurial in the ideas that they come up with and how they can serve the community and what the community needs. This Urban Symbiosis and Rebel Marketplace are doing these events that are really cool. This one's at the Hoffman Library location, and I just had the link up, but they're basically trying to help spur some development, or at least some food, or kind of like a makers, Merry Makers event, if you recall that from December. So just kind of a cool, innovative thing that we'll see how that goes, but you're certainly invited. We have the dates up there if you ever are in the neighborhood and want to stop by. But I'll get to probably the next slide and give you some more information on other things. Okay, so all of that's going on, and it's perfect timing because we have a huge strategic and facilities master plan that is underway. This has been a great experience to be part of. Our board serves as the steering committee, or at least part of the steering committee, to make sure this is as indicative of the community, but also of the needs and strategies for how we can fit that. It's kind of come on the heels, especially Councilman Gardner, Build Up Aurora. There's a lot of ideas, ways we can try to meet this need of a growing, fairly dispersed community that we all live in. So we are full blast. I want to say about halfway through this plan. And if you go to the next slide, I think we actually have the timeline. So it is May. We're almost in summer, and we've had a lot of community engagement, and kind of the main first part, which they call the discovery, analysis, and strategic plan development. And so that's the surveys, that's the community engagement, our librarians have accepted and kind of helped send the message of what do you want to see in your library? Where are some shortcomings? How does this feel? Do you feel safe? Are there programming? Is this good for your kids? Is this good for yourself? Like all of this is what we're collecting. And actually last Friday we had our first steering committee session, which is about 4 hours long, just to show how much we're dedicated to this this plan. But we really went over the vision, what's changed, how our staff, but also our resources and our community, how that all kind of collides together. So what does this mean? As we get closer into the fall, we'll have a facilities master plan. So we'll have a very in-depth sort of engineering degree level of the state of facilities, what's how our library branches are looking, the back end, the front end, everything in between. And we'll have that connected to this strategic plan of what do we see, how do we fit, and it's been good. It's been very, very interesting so far. So if you do the next slide, we're almost halfway through. We're almost in summer, but we anticipated maybe you'd have questions on how we're engaging, and there's been heavy staff input. We've done a lot of community surveys, which we got almost 2,800 survey responses that really help guide us and provide that connection to what our community is saying. And so we have information kiosks, we have ward meetings, our webpage, Engage Aurora, which Councilman Gardner is probably very familiar with. All of that is sort of the initial steps of collecting information. Next slide. So wanted to highlight this because I think it's valid for this committee, but it's also just a very interesting way of programming, and especially tying different resources that the city has. This One Book, One Aurora is really, really cool how this comes about. We're tying in the Aurora Fox Art Center with Aurora Pipeline. We're talking about book discussions. That's translating into here's, where you can actually see the stage, like you can actually go and see the event, but also the library supporting that of doing book discussions about the book. So it's kind of one of these 1-2 punches of showing the community, hey, here's this really interesting theatrical production that you can of course attend, but also combining that with, and here's the book, and here's discussions. And next year we're looking at the Phantom Toll Booth. So if you're interested in reading that or attending the production, put that on your calendar. But I think it is important just to show how we can combine and utilize our resources to sort of have that community impact as much as we can. Next slide. Okay, I'm almost done, and then you can ask questions. So I bet you have a few. But what does the future look like? We'd like to implement the strategic plan once it's wrapped up this fall. But that's going to really help lead us, especially as a board, on how best we can serve and how best we can leverage what we have and also fundraise in order to help fit that need. The MLK branch, this is more of, I guess, last year's update, but that's a $2.5 million grant that is about wrapped up. We're actually going to go tour it next month during our board meeting, but essentially the second floor has been completely remodeled, and that's going to really unlock that space and provide a just an ability for us to better serve. So that's going to be completed, I believe, I want to say September, but Ginger can tell me if I'm off with that. But this fall, that will be officially completed. So I'm sure we'll invite invite you and show you what that looks like. But that's going to be very beautiful. And then that also falls into just what we have planned for the remodel of Central Library. So the kickoff will be coming soon, but that will really start kicking off soon. And then, of course, we're always looking at fundraising, grants, advocacy. I think it all comes full together on how we can just help support and uplift our community. So I think that's the last slide. And I know I gave you a lot of information. So if you have any questions, please jump in.
Of course, thank you for the presentation. Councilmember Gardner, any questions, comments?
I do. Hey, Patrick, thanks for being here and thanks for your presentation. I don't really have any questions, more comments. So first, I'm glad you mentioned the Friends of the Aurora Public Library, and I'm glad to hear that they are becoming more engaged. I think that can be an effective tool for at least getting some funding towards the library system. You know, as somebody who's attended the Book Lovers Ball in Denver with their Friends Foundation, you know, it raises you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and so you know, there's a lot of ways that those organizations can support what we're doing here. All that to say, and you know, I'm going to read through some figures, and I hope that they all get put in the minutes if any of my colleagues that aren't on this call decide to take the time to read them. And you know, this is in no way directed at our staff or our board members, commission members who, you know, volunteer lots and lots of time. And you know, Patrick really, I think, undersold how much we are able to do with so little here in Aurora. So just for comparison, I'm going to give a couple of cities or other library groups. So Arapahoe Library District averages about $299 per borrower in funding. Denver, $349 per borrower. Douglas County, $207 per borrower. Pikes Peak, $183 per borrower. And Aurora funds $43 per borrower. So less than half of, you know, kind of in the larger cities category. Arapahoe Library District has about 777 residents per employee, 594 in Denver, 1,069 in Douglas County, 832 in Pikes Peak, and Aurora is at 3,275. So it's frankly embarrassing, the level of funding that City Council, and I'll, you know, put myself in that category as well, has contributed towards libraries. And you know why I think it's important is because we're starting to have conversations around looking at budget cuts later this year. And you know, if that ends up happening, you know, I really hope that this council doesn't follow the pattern of councils in the past and, you know, use libraries as an easy way to cut funding, because it's less difficult than some of the other departments in the city. You know, because really part of the reason we're in this position, there's a couple different reasons, but one of the ones is because libraries has been used as the area to cut in the past when we've had economic downturns, and then that funding was never caught back up, and we also fund at a lower level than our peers, and you know that really means a lot of different things, but it impacts access, it impacts the technology that we have available to our residents, it impacts the physical books that we have available to our residents. And, you know, as Patrick kind of talked about at the beginning, libraries are used by all ages. But, you know, especially with young people, it's really important for a lot of different reasons. It's learning, it's growth, it's even safety in some cases. A library can be a safe place, a safe space for kids to go to and get out of trouble. And so, again, you know, I'll get off my soapbox, but I think, you know, we City Council, not staff, not our commission members, not our employees at the libraries. We, City Council, should be embarrassed at the level that we are funding our libraries, because it's not on par with a city of our size. It's not even on par with a much smaller municipality, and there's just so many reasons to have a strong library system. So I hope, if any of my colleagues decide to read these minutes, they'll keep that in mind when we talk about budgets later this year. Thanks.
I mean, you're preaching to the choir here, Councilmember Gardner. I know Councilmember Coombs and in the past, Councilmember Hiltz, lots of strong advocates and supporters of our libraries. Yeah, I mean, just to echo some of those sentiments, I think it's unfortunate that libraries and even pros like parks, recreation often are on the chopping block when there are economic downturns, and that causes some heartburn for me too. So echo those frustrations and concerns, and we'll have to remember to have staff include this in like the budget packet, our meeting minutes next time we have that discussion. So let's see. I had a couple comments. I was just really excited to see the One Brook, One Aurora concept. I was texting a family member. I have a family member who has autism. And so, I think like just kind of being intersectional, right? Like connecting the performance piece, the book, their libraries on like a very real topic, I think is super meaningful. And in terms of like connecting with our community, I'm really excited. According to, well, there's two different stats that I'm saying, but 1 in 36 or 1 in 31 children are diagnosed with autism or somewhere on the spectrum. So just thinking about the impact that people in our communities are experiencing. I think the sensory friendly performances, hopefully that allows people to maybe enjoy something that can be really inaccessible for folks who are sensitive to noise and light and sound. So, I've been texting away for folks who I know are impacted, and I know often they have different like support groups. So I'm just excited to see how this like manifests and just to see how relevant it is to members of our community. So just wanted to give a lot of kudos and excited to see that come to fruition, and would love to continue to see programming like that in the years to come. Let's see, let me just double check that I didn't have any other questions. I guess maybe I missed this a little bit, but was just wanting to inquire a little bit about the Hoffman Library Market, the partnership with Urban Symbiosis and Rebel Marketplace. Are they just planning on selling food there, or I guess what specifically was the partnership on that one?
Patrick, do you want me to take that?
If you want, I did find there's a do it DIY hot sauce event. That's the first event. So if you want to, especially you probably know a little bit more about it, but I think it's a really cool opportunity too.
Yeah. Thanks, Patrick. Thank you for the question. So we actually have a press release that's going to be going out today or tomorrow, announcing the four day engagement with Rebel Marketplace and Urban Symbiosis. This is a partnership that we reached out to them to create. As you know, at Hoffman, we've got this great outdoor space with the skate park that's right in front of the library, as well as the park itself. And so we were thinking about how can we really activate that space in an effort to ensure that our community, particularly hyper locally, sort of sees their library as this community hub, and doing so maybe in some unusual and different ways. And so we're partnering with them, like I said, to do more of a traditional farmers market, but with other kinds of vendors there as well. In the evenings, the library will be open as well, to have programming inside the library, specific and sort of food themed, and there'll be children's and teen activities as part of that. And then one of our commitments with our partners is they're going to be seeking donations through the Friends of Aurora Public Library. So we're hoping that this becomes something that not only at these 4 locations is there an opportunity for people to come and enjoy and perhaps contribute $5 or what have you for the experience, but Urban Symposium, or excuse me, Rebel Marketplace, as you know, is also in other farmers markets around the city. And so they're going to continue to sort of share the good news of the library and those markets as well, and encourage people to contribute. So there's a fundraising component to this too that we're hoping will provide some additional support to the library branches as well.
And real quickly too, I'll add that it even ties into Councilman Gardner's thing of how can we use and utilize our partners like Friends of the Aurora Library. And we've had really good discussions with them on just using them as, if anything, as this guaranteed about 65,000 a year in donations, but also as a way for us to accept donations. So that kind of segues into this too, as testing out and feeling how we can grow that 65,000 to more.
Alrighty, thank you. Apologies, I am toggling through a few different things. I think that's it for me. Do we need to approve this? Is this information only? Sorry, I'm not.
Yes, Councilmember Murillo, Laura Perry, yes, this is informational only. Every year, the Aurora Public Library Board provides a report to the PR Plus Committee, and so this is their annual report for 2025.
Perfect. Alrighty, then thank you for the presentation. Let's move on to our next presentation from the Aurora Commission for Older Adults. Do we have our next presenter?
Good afternoon. My name is Lori Sanchez, Facility Program Supervisor for the Aurora Center for Active Adults and the Staff Liaison for the Aurora Commission for Older Adults. A glimpse of the agenda, purpose, mission, and the commission membership information is being displayed on the screen now, and you can review it in more detail that is within this report. I would like to now introduce Chairperson Jeannie Davis, who along with Vice Chairperson Karen Jorgensen will present the 2024 annual report to you today.
You're on mute. Still on mute. There should be on the upper right corner of this box a microphone icon. There you go.
Got it. I got it. And I also don't see our PowerPoint being displayed. Not on my screen anyway.
Is everyone else able to see the presentation?
I can see it, yeah.
Yes.
I'm seeing it, yes.
I'll be darned. Okay, well, I don't see it here. It says on my computer, can't display presentation. There was a problem displaying the content. So Lori, hopefully you'll be able to, or you are able to see the PowerPoint presentation. I know you just read a section that indicated that there were slides number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 being shown, and I don't see that on the screen. Slide number 7 is not there either on my part. So let me just go ahead and thank Lori for her willingness to help us muddle through all that we do as a commission appointed by City Council. I'm serving my third term as a commissioner, and I will have served a total of 9 years on the commission when my term expires at the end of January next year. We certainly are pleased to present our 2024 annual report of last year's accomplishments and our 2025 goals of this year. I wanted to just share some of the highlights, and I'm going to ask, or I have asked, Karen Jorgensen, who is our vice chairperson, to help me in this effort, and she will do a section and then I will do a section. Karen, are you unmuted?
I'm unmuted.
Okay, great. Well then, and I'm so sorry I cannot see the display, the PowerPoint. We'll start with advocacy, Lori, if that's okay. And I'm not sure whether you're changing the slides or whether they're being changed by someone else. At any rate, the older adults needs assessment was a primary project for us over the last couple of years. The commission was actively engaged in this process, which was very exciting for all of us. Karen and I participated in the bi-monthly meetings as a part of the needs assessment vision team, and that too was pretty exciting. The next slide would show that in August of last year, the city released a public survey to understand the needs and experiences of adults aged 60 and older. The survey was available in 6 languages. It was posted online, and paper versions were placed at all of the recreation centers and the public libraries. The next slide should show that the consultant, JSI, and city staff are now finalizing that report, including recommendations for moving forward. Next slide should indicate that we again requested and received a proclamation for Older Aurorans Month and plan to make this a recurring annual request. It's really been a lot of fun getting the recognition for that and then having people say something about that they read about it or they saw it somewhere, that the month of May is Older Aurorans Month. So we're really proud to continue that as a tradition. The next slide would indicate that commissioners proudly attended the proclamation ceremony, which was held in City Council chambers. We celebrated by hosting our second annual walk and roll event. It was held at Delmar Park, and this year the weather was much, much better. It rained the entire first year that we did this. Commissioners cheered on the participants as they made their way along the route at sandwich boards that were spaced out throughout the 1 mile stretch of the park. And Council Member Medina delivered opening remarks for us on behalf of the mayor and city council. Event sponsors were present, vendors were there, and various city departments staffed exhibit tables within the ACAA facility. A complimentary breakfast bar was provided, and participants received medals at the finish line, and that was always exciting. Finally, everybody received a swag bag full of city goodies. Now, this year's event was held on May 16th in Delmar Park. And I got to tell you, nearly 100 people participated this year. So we're really happy about that. We addressed concerns regarding brand guidelines for city boards and commissions, which were eventually resolved amicably. And this year, we have formally requested a modification to the term of member service from 2 to 3 years consecutively. We understand that this requires changing the city code, yet we also recognize that it's necessary because this commission has so much to do and so much activity. It is extremely difficult for a new commissioner to come on, grasp all of that, and then be ready to fall into a leadership position the next year. It's just very unlikely and it would make a lot of people uncomfortable. Not to mention the fact that our bylaws for the number of years that I've been on the commission, which would soon be 9, have always said that the term of service for commissioners on this commission was 3 years. The next slide would lend itself toward our primary advocacy goal this year, which is to continue participating in the needs assessment process and to ensure that the recommendations, the strategies, and the benchmarks for implementation and measuring their success will come to fruition over time. With that, I'd like to ask Karen to introduce herself and to continue our presentation.
Thank you, Jeannie, and thank you, council members, for allowing us to participate today. I'm Karen Jorgensen, and I was appointed as a commissioner in 2023. I was born in this city and have moved back twice. I've been here for over 30 years and very much appreciate the opportunity to give back to the community. In the area of education and information dissemination, we collaborated with the Aurora Health Alliance and Anschutz Multidisciplinary Center on Aging to present 3 seminars related to healthcare for older adults. The third seminar, The Dangers About Drug Interactions, was presented during the Aurora Forum for Older Adults later in the year. Our speaker series was well attended. One of our goals is to work with the Aurora Health Alliance and the CU Anschutz Medical Center again this year. We sponsored the 2024 Aurora Forum for Older Adults in collaboration with the Aurora Center for Active Adults, and we were excited that Councilmember Medina led an open discussion during the forum and shared his vision for residents in Ward 3. The forum included various speakers, vendors, and sponsors. Commissioners recommended topics and presenters, introduced the speakers, staffed our display table, fielded attendee questions, and disseminated marketing literature and promotional products. We're looking forward to our next forum, which will be held on October 10th. In response to our earlier request, the Visit Aurora sales team has contacted national organizations to solicit older adult conferences and conventions to the city. We continue to gain insights from our surveys about topics of interest and shared experiences related to intergenerational perceptions. Attending city council ward meetings enlightened commissioners about issues affecting our communities. Dissemination goals included continued attendance at council ward meetings and inviting subject matter experts to educate commissioners and the general public at our monthly meetings. We'll continue sharing relevant information at in-person events and collecting feedback from our surveys. And we will be encouraging the libraries and PROs, or the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space staff, to distribute information about older adults for display in their facilities, as well as supporting older adult programming in citywide recreation centers. Our communications and marketing efforts were more successful than ever last year, thanks to the city's use of internal and external media to promote our events. Our partnership with the Aurora Center for Active Adults provided lots of visibility as we staffed numerous events last year to interact with our peers. And networking and information sharing with external organizations helped expand our knowledge of issues, concerns, and available resources for them. We are committed to attending regularly scheduled community liaison meetings and council ward meetings. Of course, displaying our branded marketing material, printed literature, and promotional products will be ongoing. We couldn't do a lot of what we do with our volunteers, and we would like to celebrate Frances Lofton, Netta Sanders, Victoria Vons, and Juanita Audrey for their contributions toward many of our accomplishments throughout the year. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Jeannie.
Okay, thank you very much. Our committee leadership is enthusiastic about their 2024 accomplishments and goals set for this year as well. The Public Relations Committee did a great job last year coordinating the staffing for display table activities and distribution of event flyers throughout the community. Goals for this committee include renaming the Public Relations Committee to the Volunteer Support Committee, and will host once again Meet Your Commissioner and Chill with a Commissioner events at several locations this year. The committee chairperson and the commission chair toured the Centennial YMCA Center of Generations facility. Now, this is an interesting partnership between the Greater Denver YMCA and the city of Centennial, which brings together youth and older adults in a multi-generational space. And several commissioners and volunteers participated in the Reading to Preschoolers program coordinated by Lori at the ACAA at the various early learning centers. Isolation and loneliness are huge concerns among our older people in the community. In addition to holding another successful generational split trivia event at the Mission Viejo Library, the committee collaborated with library staff to join several of their events, and we organized letters against isolation projects for attendees. Young people had a lot of fun. They had a lot of fun writing, and they wrote notes and they drew pictures, which we distributed to assisted living facilities here in Aurora. As a matter of fact, the Central Library followed suit with a similar letter writing concept around Valentine's Day earlier this year. We hope to do more of that. We plan to collaborate with the library staff to hold at least 2 intergenerational activities before the end of this year, one of which we've already done. We've already done the intergenerational split program, and will continue participating in the Reading to Preschoolers program and actively recruit volunteers for that. We also will continue to explore opportunities with the Aurora Youth Commission. One of this committee's goals is to encourage the creation of intergenerational programming. That is, programs that bring older and younger people together to bridge some divides. To that end, this committee has created a call for intergenerational action flyer, which, by the way, the graphics department did an excellent job of creating and molding and shaping for us. It's a wonderful, wonderful flyer. We're going to distribute that to various community organizations and older adult facilities this year. The committee chairperson will explore possibilities for an intergenerational program with the Community College of Aurora, and hopes to partner with professional organizations and educational institutions to provide older adult volunteers and mentors to high school and college students. Of course, we'll continue the older adult pilot program with Mission Viejo as well. I'm giving it back to you, Karen.
Thanks, Jeannie. The commission continued working with PRO's leadership, and we're really excited to be involved in the city's microtransit pilot program. Congratulations to the PROS team for receiving a monetary grant from RTD, which boosted the total funding to $850,000 across 3 years. We'll continue to provide feedback on the final draft of the revised scope of work and the selected vendors' proposed service maps. As a Transportation Solutions Arapahoe County member, we're working with Dr. Mack, or the Denver Regional Mobility and Access Council, RTD, and the ACAA to present a series of transportation workshops for older adults. The Aurora workshop will be held on October 13th from 1 to 3 p.m. at the ACAA. Finally, we'll continue our discussions with the City of Aurora, giving our input and ensuring funding is sourced to improve the transportation needs for older Aurorans. On the legislative front, we renewed our membership with the Colorado Center on Aging to retain access to online legislative resources. We kept abreast of numerous bills impacting older adults, and our report shows several bills passed during 2024. We'll continue monitoring legislative action impacting older adults while maintaining a collaborative relationship with the Intergovernmental Relations Department to share information and positions on relevant legislation affecting our community. Fraud, Abuse, and Prevention Committee receives monthly quality of life and fraud prevention updates from the Aurora Police Department representative. Commissioners were invited to attend an on-site tour of their facilities and the Aurora 911 Center. Additionally, we provided the Aurora Police Department with numerous pamphlets regarding financial, cyber, and phone fraud to be given out to older residents. We're planning once again to attend the 2025 Senior Law and Safety Summit, collaborate with external organizations to identify key areas of fraud amongst older adults, and distribute rack cards at various events and libraries on scam and fraud prevention. We hope to identify at least 2 events to partner with other community organizations or create our own workshop on elder fraud and abuse. Last year, commissioners learned a lot from our guest speakers, and we already have some speakers lined up for our monthly meetings this year. Jeannie, I'll let you wrap up our presentation. Jeannie, you're on mute.
You're muted.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes.
Okay. Here are our comments related to anticipated impact for the city of Aurora and the relationship to the city's mission, goals, and purpose. What do we need from the city council and the city of Aurora? Well, in addition to attending the Older Adult Forum in October, please note these 3 important requests, and we do hope that you all will come to the forum. We want council members to commit to implementing and measuring the success of the Aurora Older Adults Needs Assessment based on recommendations, strategies, and benchmarks. We want you to collaborate with the Commission regarding issues important to older adults in your respective wards. And finally, we urge City Council and City staff to consider older adults in all areas of planning, including infrastructure, transportation, buildings, programs, procedures, and outcomes. Thank you for your attention today. We appreciate the opportunity to have summarized our 2024 annual report and to share our current goals with all of you. As members of the commission appointed by City Council, we really are working to enhance the quality of life for older adults in Aurora. Now, what questions and/or comments might you have for us?
Councilmember Gardner, any questions or comments?
No questions, but thank you very much for the presentation. I think these types of presentations are really helpful to show all of our boards and commissions, all the different things that they have going on and are working on in the city. And your group is very clearly doing a lot of different things with a lot of different folks, and really appreciate that, and appreciate you taking the time to volunteer and be involved. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, from my end, just always appreciate how active this commission is. I know that's not always the case, so it's always really exciting to see the impact that y'all have had and the innovation that y'all bring, and working along with our staff. I know our staff really enjoy being able to work with our different community members, and especially really active commission. So thank you for holding down the work and supporting our great city. And as far as, you know, presenting at ward meetings, you are welcome to come to a Ward 1 ward meeting. Mine is tomorrow. It's the fourth Thursday of every month, and I take a break during the summer since everyone wants to be outside. So I'll resume back in August. If you want to follow up with staff, they can connect with our council liaison and get that scheduled for sometime later this year. Would love to have y'all join one of my future meetings.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. We'll look forward to that. As a matter of fact, I think somebody did come to Ward 1 in the last couple of months. I'm not sure which commissioner it was. We've got 3 new commissioners. And so it's good.
I've attended a couple of them.
You have, I
Yeah.
thought somebody had. Yeah. Thank you, Karen.
Well, always an open invitation if there's something y'all want to noodle around or get feedback. You know, please feel free to join.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Alrighty, and I don't have any other questions, so thank you for the presentation.
You're very welcome anytime.
Hey, any miscellaneous items?
None from staff today.
Right. What are we thinking for next month's meeting?
Yes, so a couple of updates. Next meeting on June 18th. We have the Historic Preservation Commission annual report, the 2025 Aurora Immigrant and Refugee Commission annual report, and then an update from our AIPP team on the Bus Rapid Transit Project Public Art along Colfax.
Okay. That sounds good. Just checking on the date. I have a conflict with the 18th, but let me circle back with Councilmember Medina, and if he's available, and Councilmember Gardner, would you be available on the 18th?
Yep, I am.
Okay, if both of them can join, that's okay. I don't want to hold up the process, and we can just keep the meeting as is if Councilmember Medina is available. All right. That wraps us up. All right. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your week.